Hey folks, welcome back to another parts tuning video. In this one I wanted to talk a bit about the clutch boost in the game. It's funny, like I've seen lots of videos and heard lots of people talk about the clutch boost, and there seems to be some misconception about how it works in general. Yes, it is a clutch boost. It's not a real clutch. It's a more arcadey type of gameplay. But certain aspects of it work a lot more like a real clutch than people realize. For example, the amount of clutch boost you get greatly goes down depending on which gear you're in and which RPMs you're in. For example, if you're in first gear and you're stopped, you get a lot of clutch boost basically. Or if you're at low speed and you come around the turn and you're in like second gear, you're gonna get pretty good clutch boost. But it gets weaker with speed. So like at higher speed, for example, like third gear wide open, the clutch boost is probably like 50% weaker than it would be at 30 miles an hour in second gear. And that's about 30% weaker than it would be at 20 miles an hour in first gear. And when you get up in the higher gear, it's pretty much like almost non-existent. Like it's very, very, very weak. Especially depending on your RPM. So like if you're in fifth gear at 3000 RPM, you're not gonna get very much clutch boost at all. If you're in fifth gear and you're wide open and you're doing like 90 miles an hour, again, you're not gonna get very much clutch boost. If anything, it's going to slow you down by then. So the clutch boost is really only like I'd say beneficial at lower speed, lower gear. After that it becomes almost useless. I mean, it's not useless completely, you still get some boost out of it, but it's definitely tons less than you would get at lower speed. So let's do some testing here really quick. So right now I'm on a 450. I don't have any clutch parts installed. I'm using the default clutch. And I wanted to also talk about how the clutch parts behave. So basically, the shift speed level 3 clutch, or like any of the shift speed level clutch, they will shift faster, but you won't get as much clutch boost as you would with the clutch boost parts. So the clutch shift speed gives you less boost, but goes through the gears faster, like compared to the clutch boost. Will give you more boost, especially at like lower speed, lower gear, but it's going to shift a bunch slower than the other parts. So it'll be more like I really hope you love my voice acting, because I think it's great. Anyways, moving on. So let me equip this guy here. And let's go around the track a little bit. And I usually use the clutch in every turn. I mean, sometimes I use it even when I know it doesn't do anything, because it's kind of like a habit. Every time I turn or every time I land a jump, I tap the clutch. It's a habit. I just do it no matter what. But really, you get a lot more benefits. Benefits when you use it at lower speeds. So for example, I used it here, that was pretty good boost, I could feel it. But if I use it right here, for example, right before the jump, I didn't really get much clutch boost at all. If anything, because of the gear I was in and the speed I was in, it kind of cut the engine for a split second, and then the amount of boost I got wasn't really enough to make it beneficial. Like, it would have been better if I didn't use the clutch, especially with the clutch shift speed parts installed, because it focuses on shifting speed and instead of like a clutch boost power. Like for example, I did this whole section with no clutch, right? When I do this turn with no clutch, and see I'm keeping my momentum pretty good, still no clutch. And here I use the clutch coming out of the turn. And I'm gonna use it right there as well, and right there. And I used it at the landing. I don't know if you saw, but I got a pretty good boost at the landing, because even though I was in third gear, I was in the right RPMs and the right speed, so I got a pretty good amount of clutch. Now let me show you how it shifts with this. And again, the shifting side really applies to players that play with automatic shifting, because obviously when you play with manual shifting, you decide when to shift, not the game. So okay, let me find a big flat spot. It should be flat enough. So I'm just gonna go. So you saw every time it shifted to another gear, it was a pretty quick shift. Oh, let's do it here. That's a good place. You see how fast it's shifting? You can barely hear the shift, right? So now I'm gonna go back down there and I'm gonna switch to the shift boost parts and do the same test again. Okay, let's equip. Do I have enough money? Yes, I do, just enough. Okay, shift boost. Let's see the difference. So you can see here, like, it's not a big difference, right? But it's enough to where instead of being like almost instant, like there is a little bit of a drop in between. You also get more spinning with more clutch boost, so you're gonna spin more. That's something to keep in mind as well. So you're gonna lose traction more often. Now, the way it works too is, I think if you equip like the other ones, like level 1 and level 2, then there is even a bigger gap in the shifting speed between gears, right? Like the level 3 is the best one, so the shift speed between gear is increased as compared to level 1 and level 2. So it's a little closer than the level 3 clutch shift speed. It's still slower than it, but it's not as slow as these other two. And you can see here with these guys, you get less power, but more traction. Because you have more traction, you have a bit better handling. And it's the opposite for this one. You get less power than level 3, so if I go back to 0, this gives you a little bit more power, but less traction. And that's the most power. And then here, again, it gives you more power than the stock one, but not as much as the clutch boost one. So if I go level 3 here, you see the power compared to level 3 here, right? But you also see the loss in traction and handling. So it really depends again on your playstyle and the type of track that you're riding on. But I've been wondering how to keep tuning the clutch boost, basically. We've always had it in our games because there are more arcade type games. The clutch boost in the past was very strong, way too strong. So for this game, we made it a lot weaker. I still feel like it might be a little bit too strong. So that's something that we might work on a little bit more to improve it. Also, one thing to know is in general, you get more clutch boost and more flexibility on the 2 strokes than you do on the 4 strokes. So the 2 strokes have the strongest clutch boost, and they also have the most flexible chassis. Where the 4 strokes, their clutch boost is a little bit weaker, and their most flexible chassis is not as flexible as the 2 strokes. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Okay, well, that's about it for this video. I hope you guys liked it. If you have any questions or comments, you know where to leave them. Cheers, everyone.